The Ketheri High Command's observation deck offered a pristine view of their capital world's 3 moons, but Admiral Vexterra barely noticed the sight anymore. Her attention was fixed on the holographic display showing humanity's latest colonial expansion efforts. These primitives had managed to establish 17 off-world colonies in just 30 years. Impressive for such a young species, but ultimately insignificant to an empire that spanned 3 galactic arms. "They're spreading like garden weeds," General Zenfor remarked, his scaled fingers manipulating the display to zoom in on Earth's newest settlement. "But their defensive capabilities remain laughable at best." Vexterra clicked her mandibles in agreement. First contact with Earth had occurred merely 50 years ago, and initial assessments had classified humans as a curiosity, clever enough to achieve faster-than-light travel, but hopelessly outmatched in every other aspect of spacefaring civilization. Their ships were bulky, radiation-leaking vessels that relied on primitive nuclear propulsion, and their weapons systems consisted mainly of kinetic projectiles and chemical explosives. Their latest destroyer-class vessel, Zenfor continued, pulling up the schematics their spy drones had collected, still uses metallic armor plating. Metallic. They haven't even mastered basic energy shielding. He laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the chamber. But something about the humans' rapid expansion troubled Vexterra. The Ketheri Empire had encountered hundreds of species over its 12,000 years of existence, and pattern recognition was deeply ingrained in their military doctrine. Most young species either expanded too quickly and collapsed, or moved so cautiously they remained confined to their home systems for centuries. Humans walked a peculiar middle ground. "Have you noticed," Vexterra said carefully, "that they're positioning their colonies in a defensive grid pattern?" She manipulated the display, connecting the colonial positions with glowing lines. Each settlement supports overlapping fields of coverage, despite their limited FTL capabilities. Zenfor waved a dismissive hand. "Primitive tactical thinking. They're arranging their colonies like ancient ground forces. Space warfare requires." "Different thinking entirely, yes," Vexterra interrupted. "But why would they use such an outdated strategy unless—" She left the thought unfinished. The general's scales shifted color slightly, a sign of irritation. "You're seeing phantoms in vacuum, Admiral. The human ships we've encountered are exactly what they appear to be: outdated, inefficient, and vulnerable. Their most advanced vessel couldn't withstand a single shot from our lowest-grade plasma cannons." Vexterra stared at the display, particularly at the regular gaps in human colonial positions, gaps that, if filled, would create a perfect defensive network. "Perhaps that's exactly what they want us to think." The Strategic Council had already approved the plan to annex human territory. The Empire needed the resources, and humanity's worlds were rich in rare elements. The humans' pitiful ships and obvious technological inferiority made them an easy target. The operation would begin in 3 standard months. But as Vexterra studied the careful positioning of human settlements, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. She'd reviewed the footage from first contact countless times. The humans had shown neither fear nor awe at meeting the Ketheri, just intense curiosity and careful attention. Their diplomatic responses had been measured, their technology sharing minimal but precise. They'd readily demonstrated their best ships and weapons, almost eager to display their capabilities. Too eager? A junior officer interrupted her thoughts, rushing into the chamber with a data crystal. "Admiral, we've detected unusual energy signatures from the human colony on Proxima B." The holographic display shifted, showing readings that made no sense. For a fraction of a second, the sensors had picked up an energy spike that rivaled a small star's output. Then, nothing. Not even the normal background radiation they usually detected from human settlements. "Sensor malfunction," Zenfor declared confidently. "Their technology can barely maintain stable fusion reactors. This reading is impossible." Vexterra zoomed in on the colony's last known position. The settlement was still there, visually unchanged. But something about the sensor data nagged at her military instincts. She'd seen energy signatures like this before, in classified reports about theoretical technology the Empire's best scientists had deemed impossible. The complete absorption and redirection of all detectable energy emissions. She input a quick series of commands, pulling up long-term surveillance data of human space. As the information streamed across the display, her scales paled. In the last 5 years, there had been thousands of similar sensor malfunctions across human territory, each lasting less than a microsecond, each dismissed as equipment failure. "General," she said slowly, "I believe we need to reconsider our assessment of human military capabilities." Zinthor began to respond, but a priority alert cut him off. Multiple Kethari border outposts had gone silent simultaneously. The last transmitted images showed nothing but empty space, and sensor readings identical to the malfunction they'd just witnessed. Humanity, it seemed, had been preparing for this moment since first contact, and the Kethari Empire was about to discover just how wrong their assumptions had been. Deep within the Armstrong Lunar Complex, Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the Combined Earth Defense Council, her holographic presentation showing the last known positions of the Kethari border outposts. The massive underground chamber, carved from the moon's bedrock decades ago, housed humanity's true military command center, a facility whose very existence was unknown to alien observers. "Operation Shadow Veil is proceeding exactly as planned," Chen reported, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "The Quantum Phase Fleet has successfully neutralized the Kethari's forward observation posts. As of now, they remain unaware of our ship's true capabilities." The council chamber's walls displayed real-time tactical data from across human space. To any outside observer, Earth's colonies appeared to be conducting business as usual, their obsolete ships plodding along predictable trade routes. The reality, hidden beneath layers of quantum deception, was very different. Director Marcus Rodriguez, head of Earth's Intelligence Division, stepped forward. "For 50 years, we've maintained what might be the greatest military deception in human history. While the Kethari watched our primitive nuclear ships, we developed quantum phase technology. While they laughed at our kinetic weapons, we perfected dark energy manipulation. Every visible human colony is a fortress, every trading outpost a military installation in disguise." The room's central hologram shifted to show the true extent of human military power. Overlaid on the familiar colonial grid pattern were thousands of quantum phase vessels, invisible to conventional sensors, positioned in precise strategic formations. Each ship represented decades of secret technological development, powered by innovations that the Kethari had dismissed as theoretically impossible. "The Kethari's own arrogance has been our greatest advantage," Rodriguez continued. "They're so convinced of their technological superiority that they never questioned why we seemed so unconcerned by their obvious military advantage. They never wondered why we freely showed them our best technology, or why we appeared to ignore basic strategic principles in our colonial expansion." Admiral Chen highlighted several key tactical positions in the holographic display. "Our quantum phase ships can shift partially out of normal spacetime, becoming completely undetectable to conventional sensors. The energy signatures that Admiral Vexterra noticed weren't malfunctions. They were glimpses of our fleet during phase transition tests. We wanted them to detect just enough to make the more observant among them nervous, but not enough to reveal our true capabilities." The council members studied the tactical display with grim satisfaction. The colonial grid pattern, which the Kethari had dismissed as primitive thinking, was actually designed to create overlapping fields of quantum phase disruption. Any hostile fleet attempting to move through these sectors would find their faster-than-light capabilities suddenly and inexplicably failing. "What about the Kethari's superior numbers?" asked Councillor Zhang, her concern evident. "They still command one of the largest fleets in known space." Chen's expression hardened. "Numbers mean nothing when you can't detect your enemy. Our ships can phase into normal space, fire their dark energy weapons, and phase out again before their sensors can even register our presence. We've effectively neutralized 12,000 years of their technological development. The room fell silent as footage began playing from the border outpost operations. Quantum phase ships, visible only because the footage came from human sensors, emerged from seemingly empty space. Their hulls, covered in light-absorbing metamaterials, appeared as gaps in the star field. The Ketheri outposts were disabled with surgical precision, their communications and weapons neutralized by targeted dark energy pulses that left the structures and crews unharmed. "We're not seeking to destroy the Ketheri Empire," Chen emphasized. "Our goal is to demonstrate that humanity cannot be safely subjugated." The Quantum Phase fleet is positioned to disable their primary military installations simultaneously. When we reveal ourselves, they'll discover that their entire defensive network has already been compromised. Director Rodriguez brought up the intelligence analysis. The Ketheri society is built on technological supremacy. The revelation that a primitive species has not only matched but exceeded their capabilities in secret will force them to fundamentally reevaluate their position in the galaxy. The council chamber's displays shifted again, showing the next phase of the operation. Quantum phase ships were moving into position around key Ketheri military installations, invisible and untouchable. 50 years of patience, deception, and preparation were about to pay off. The Ketheri believe they're preparing to annex a weak, technologically inferior species, Chen concluded. Instead, they're about to discover that humanity has been several steps ahead of them since first contact. The next 24 hours will permanently change the balance of power in this sector of the galaxy. As the council session ended, Chen couldn't help but appreciate the irony. The Ketheri's dismissal of humanity as primitive had given Earth the time and security it needed to develop technologies that the Empire had never imagined possible. Their greatest weakness, their absolute certainty in their own superiority, had become humanity's greatest weapon. The Quantum Phase fleet was ready. The trap was set, and the Ketheri Empire was about to learn a costly lesson about underestimating humanity. Admiral Vexterra's warning came too late. By the time the Ketheri High Command mobilized their response fleet, humanity's trap was already closing. The first indication that something was catastrophically wrong came when the Empire's primary quantum communication network went silent. In the Ketheri Command Center on Axis Prime, tactical displays flickered and died. Emergency backup systems activated, only to show something impossible. Every major military installation across 3 galactic arms had gone dark simultaneously. Thousands of fortified positions, fleet anchorages, and command centers were suddenly operating on local power only, cut off from the Empire's strategic network. Status report. Supreme Commander Ixel demanded, his scales shifting through patterns of alarm and rage. Where are these attacks coming from? No attacks detected. Supreme Commander, the sensor officer reported, mandibles clicking in confusion. Our outbound scans show clear space in all sectors, but... He hesitated. We're detecting localized gravitational anomalies, thousands of them, surrounding every major installation. In orbit above Axis Prime, the Empire's first defense fleet hung motionless in space, their crews watching in stunned silence as points of absolute darkness began to materialize around them. These void-like shapes appeared to absorb both light and sensor signals, creating holes in space itself. Then humanity revealed its hand. The Quantum Phase fleet shifted partially into normal spacetime, becoming visible for the first time. Sleek vessels of impossible design emerged from the gravitational anomalies, their hulls covered in patterns that seemed to bend reality around them. They were beautiful and terrifying, representing technological advancement far beyond what the Ketheri had believed possible. This is Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. A transmission cut through the confusion on all frequencies. Your military installations have been neutralized. Your communications network is under our control. The weapons currently targeted on your ships and facilities utilize principles your scientists have deemed impossible. You have 20 minutes to signal your surrender, or we will demonstrate exactly how wrong your assessment of human capabilities has been. Aboard her flagship, the UES Nightingale, Admiral Chen watched the Cathari response through quantum-enhanced sensors. As predicted, several squadron commanders ignored the warning. 3 Cathari battle groups activated their weapons and launched attacks against the nearest human vessels. Their plasma cannons and particle beams passed harmlessly through the quantum phase chips, dispersing into empty space. The human vessels responded with precisely calculated demonstrations of force. Dark energy pulses rippled across the Cathari ships' hulls, bypassing their shields completely and disrupting their power systems. Within seconds, the entire battle group was drifting, their crews unharmed, but their mighty warships reduced to powerless hulks. Second demonstration complete. Chen's tactical officer reported. All disabled Cathari vessels have been stabilized. Life support systems are functioning on backup power. The message was clear. Humanity could have destroyed them, but chose not to. In the Cathari Command Center, Supreme Commander Ixal watched the tactical displays with growing horror. The human ships were operating with technology that violated everything the Empire understood about physics. They phased in and out of normal space at will, ignored the most advanced Cathari shields, and moved with impossible precision. Supreme Commander Admiral Vexterra spoke quietly from her position near the tactical display. I recommend immediate surrender. These humans, they've been playing a game with us since first contact. Every primitive ship they showed us, every seemingly inferior weapon system, it was all carefully crafted deception. We're not facing an inferior species. We're facing an enemy that has outmaneuvered us so completely that we never even knew we were at war until we already lost. Ixal's scales shifted to the deep blue of resignation. Around the command center, the tactical displays showed more Cathari ships powering down their weapons. The mighty Empire, which had dominated this sector of space for 12 millennia, had been defeated without a single casualty. Send the surrender signal, Ixal ordered, his voice heavy with the weight of history, and prepare for negotiations. Aboard the Nightingale, Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile as the surrender confirmations began arriving from across Cathari space. The quantum phase fleet maintained its position, a silent reminder of humanity's hidden strength. Diplomatic Corps is standing by, her communications officer reported. The Cathari are requesting an immediate conference to discuss terms. Inform them that we'll meet on neutral ground, Chen replied. And make sure they understand. This could have been much worse. We chose to defeat them without destruction because we're interested in coexistence, not conquest. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is the one you choose not to use. As the quantum phase fleet settled into guard positions around the Cathari's primary worlds, the true magnitude of humanity's achievement became clear. They had won a war before it could begin, defeated an empire without a massacre, and reshaped the galaxy's balance of power, all through careful planning, advanced technology, and the patience to wait for exactly the right moment to reveal their true strength. The neutral meeting ground chosen for negotiations was a space station orbiting a binary star system, its architecture a perfect blend of human and Cathari design principles. Inside the station's central chamber, Admiral Vexterra found herself studying the human delegates with new eyes. Their simple uniforms and unassuming presence belied the technological supremacy they had demonstrated mere days ago. Fleet Admiral Chen sat across the polished conference table, her posture relaxed but alert. The quantum phase fleet maintained its vigilant watch over Cathari space, a constant reminder of humanity's hidden power. But today's meeting wasn't about displaying strength. It was about reshaping the future. Your deception was masterful, Supreme Commander Ixal admitted, his scales shimmering with a complex mixture of emotions. 50 years of carefully orchestrated technological misdirection. You even let us examine your primitive ships. Those ships were real, Chen replied, a slight smile playing at her lips. We maintained two separate technological tracks, one public, one secret. Every vessel we showed you could perform exactly as demonstrated. We simply never showed you our actual military capabilities. Director Rodriguez, representing Earth's Intelligence Division, activated a holographic display in the center of the conference table. It showed the true extent of human technological development, revealing how they had systematically worked around Ketheri surveillance. Your greatest weakness, Rodriguez explained, was your unwavering belief in your own superiority. You saw what you expected to see. A young species struggling with basic space travel. It never occurred to you that we might be capable of something more. The display shifted to show the quantum phase technology in action. Ships slipping between dimensions, dark energy weapons that ignored conventional shields, and communication systems that operated outside normal spacetime. The Ketheri scientists present watched with a mixture of awe and professional envy. But why reveal yourselves now? Vexterra asked. You could have maintained this advantage indefinitely. Because your empire was planning to annex our territories, Chen answered simply. We had three choices: continue hiding and risk eventual discovery, engage in a potentially devastating conventional war, or demonstrate our capabilities in a way that would prevent conflict while minimizing loss of life. The human delegation proceeded to lay out their terms. They weren't seeking territory or reparations. Instead, they proposed a fundamental restructuring of the relationship between their civilizations, one based on mutual respect and technological exchange. We've studied your empire's history, Chen continued. You've achieved remarkable things, but your progress has stagnated. Your certainty in your own technological supremacy has become a barrier to innovation. We're offering you a chance to learn and grow again. The Ketheri delegation shifted uncomfortably. The humans were right. The Empire had grown complacent over millennia of unchallenged dominance. The revelation of humanity's quantum phase technology had shattered centuries of scientific certainty. In exchange for peace and cooperation, Rodriguez added, we're willing to share certain aspects of our technology, not our military advances. Those remain classified. But we have developments in medicine, energy production, and environmental management that could benefit both our peoples. As the negotiations proceeded, Vexterra noticed something remarkable. The humans weren't acting like conquerors, despite their clear military advantage. They were treating this as an opportunity for genuine partnership, albeit one where they held the stronger position. There's something I don't understand, Ixel said during a break in the formal discussions. Your quantum phase technology, you could have used it to expand far beyond your current territories. Why maintain such a limited presence? Chen's response was characteristically direct. Because we learned from history. Rapid expansion leads to overextension. Walking softly while carrying a big stick is often more effective than throwing your weight around. We chose our colonial positions carefully, creating a defensive network that could protect Earth and its allies without threatening our neighbors. The implications of this statement weren't lost on the Ketheri leadership. Humanity hadn't just outmaneuvered them technologically, they had demonstrated a level of strategic thinking that challenged the Empire's fundamental approaches to power and expansion. As the day progressed, more details emerged about humanity's long game. They had used the very prejudices and assumptions of the Ketheri Empire as a shield, building their strength in plain sight while being dismissed as primitives. It was a strategy that required incredible patience, discipline, and foresight, qualities the Ketheri had never expected from such a young species. We're not interested in dismantling your empire, Chen assured them. But the old balance of power is gone. The question now is whether we can build something better together than we could achieve as rivals. For the first time in 12,000 years, the Ketheri Empire found itself negotiating from a position of weakness. But as Vexterra observed the proceedings, she realized this might be exactly what her people needed, a reminder that the galaxy still held mysteries and that true strength lay not in dominance, but in the ability to adapt and grow. 5 years after the quantum revelation, as historians now called it, the galaxy had changed in ways few could have predicted. The massive Meridian Hall of the newly constructed Galactic Cooperation Summit on Mars hosted representatives from dozens of species, including many that had previously avoided contact with the Ketheri Empire. Admiral Sarah Chen, now Earth's senior ambassador to the Galactic Council, watched from the podium as former Supreme Commander Ixal concluded his presentation on joint human-Ketheri research initiatives. The old warrior's scales shimmered with enthusiasm as he described their latest breakthrough in quantum communication technology. By combining Ketheri temporal mechanics with human phase theory, Ixal explained to the assembled delegates, "We've achieved instantaneous communication across unprecedented distances. This advancement will benefit all spacefaring civilizations who join the cooperative." The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. The Ketheri Empire, once known for jealously guarding its technological advantages, was now leading the charge for open scientific collaboration. Their near defeat at human hands had triggered a renaissance in Ketheri society, awakening a spirit of innovation that had lain dormant for millennia. After the session, Chen met with Admiral Vexterra in the station's observation deck. The Martian sunset painted the sky in shades of red and gold, a sight that still fascinated their alien visitors. "Did you ever imagine this outcome?" Vexterra asked, gesturing at the bustling diplomatic complex below. "When you were planning your quantum phase fleet, did you envision creating this?" Chen considered the question carefully. "We hoped for it. That's why we chose demonstration over destruction. The goal was never to replace one dominant power with another, but to break the cycle of imperial expansion altogether." The strategy had worked better than anyone anticipated. The revelation of humanity's hidden capabilities had sent shockwaves through galactic society. Younger spacefaring races, previously cowed by Ketheri might, found new confidence. The discovery that humans had secretly developed technology beyond the Empire's understanding suggested that innovation and advancement could come from anywhere. More importantly, humanity's decision to use its advantage to force peace rather than conquest had established a new model for interstellar relations. The quantum revelation proved that technological superiority didn't have to lead to dominance. "The latest survey results are encouraging," Vexterra noted, checking her datapad. "Interstellar trade has increased by 300% since the formation of the cooperative. Scientific exchange programs are oversubscribed. Even the most isolated species are requesting membership." But it wasn't just politics and technology that had changed. The human demonstration of strategic patience and calculated restraint had challenged fundamental assumptions about species development. The fact that humanity had maintained its deception for 50 years, coordinating a massive secret military program while presenting a convincing facade of technological inferiority, forced other civilizations to reconsider their assessment of younger races. "There are still challenges," Chen admitted. "Some of your former client states are struggling with their new independence. A few of the more militant Ketheri houses are resisting the changes. But look at what we've achieved in just 5 years." Below them, representatives from former rival species mingled freely in the summit's gardens. Research teams shared findings that would have been classified a decade ago. Trade delegations negotiated agreements that benefited all parties rather than serving a single imperial power. "The quantum phase fleet hasn't been needed since that first day," Vexterra observed. "Though I suspect you maintain it, just in case." Chen's slight smile was answer enough. Humanity had learned to balance trust with preparedness. The fleet remained invisible and vigilant, but its very existence helped ensure it would never be needed. In the end, humanity's greatest victory hadn't been the technological achievement of quantum phase ships or dark energy weapons. It had been proving that patience, innovation, and calculated restraint could overcome even the most entrenched power structures. They had defeated an empire not through superior firepower, but through strategic thinking and the wisdom to use power responsibly. As the first stars became visible in the darkening Martian sky, Chen reflected on the long journey that had brought them here. 50 years of secret preparation had led to 5 years of unprecedented change. The galaxy had learned that true strength lay not in the ability to dominate, but in the wisdom to know when and how to use power for the greater good. "We're receiving another membership application," Vexterra announced, checking a notification. The Zoraxians, they were previously considered too primitive for contact under Imperial protocols. "Review their application like any other," Chen replied. "After all, you never know where the next breakthrough might come from. We, better than anyone, know how deceptive appearances can be." The two leaders shared a knowing look as another ship arrived through the Quantum Gate network, carrying yet another species ready to join the new galactic community. The age of empires was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And somewhere out in the darkness between the stars, humanity's quantum phase fleet maintained its endless watch, a silent guardian of this hard-won peace.